move. Good news, everyone. Don't you little piggy when you see onions have legs.
Welcome to 20th Century Boy. My name is Radio Mike, and... Sorry guys, just one sec. Yeah, can I please get a large cheeseburger meal with 6 nuggets as well and sweet and sour sauce? Yeah, Coke for the drink. Thank you, great. Sorry guys, was just going through the drive-thru at Macca's. This is the inside of my mind. Thank you for being here for another week. Last week, I was down in the dumps. I was feeling really shit. I was really tired and exhausted. And one of the segments, because I'm now doing like numbered, like in the episode descriptions, instead of just doing a full description, I'm just numbering it like 1, this, 2, this, 3, this, 4, this, whatever. Just so it's broken up into segments, sort of, in a way. And the first one last week was called "Shut Out Onto a Pool of Piss," which was a quote that I said in the show. Thanks to all the people who responded to that immediately upon seeing it, such as radio superstar Zach, who said, "Never have I ever questioned the next episode more than I am now. Welcome again to the radio family, radio superstar Zach." Yeah, last week I was just generally talking about how I just felt like I wasn't really managing my habits very well, and that's something I come back to a lot on this podcast is my habit management and my just my day-to-day life management, because it's so easy to go down this slippery slope where you stop sort of thinking and managing that kind of thing. But I appreciate everyone who reached out. I'm going a lot better this week. I'm feeling a little bit more focused, but I'm still a little bit tired. I don't know, I'm getting there. And special thanks as well to Radio George. Welcome to the radio family, Radio George. I believe this is your first contribution to the show. And he wrote in and he said, "I had the same exact feeling last week. I felt overwhelmed, swamped, and bad for turning down work. Take care of yourself. We all love and appreciate the work that you're doing." Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you listening. So it's great to hear feedback like that. Also got a message this week from Radio Tristan, today actually, the day I'm recording this. Welcome to the radio family, Radio Tristan. He says, "You gotta be shitting me. Happy 25th birthday, Mike." And that's a joke where one of the episodes in 2019 came out the day of my 25th birthday, and I said on that podcast, message me whenever you're listening to this and wish me a happy 25th birthday. So I said, thanks, man. It's been a great day. And that means that people are still catching up to the podcast 6 months in delay, and I think that's great. And Radio Tristan, when you get to this episode, I'm looking forward to you sending me another message letting me know that you finally got to this episode. And I guess if you don't send that message, I assume you got bored with the podcast and stopped listening, which is a shame, but thanks for giving it a shot. We really appreciate it here from all of us at 20th Century Boy Industries. A number of people wrote in this week to the show about my brief cameo on the Hamish and Andy podcast that I totally forgot about, one of whom was Radio Ash. Welcome again to the radio family, Radio Ash. And I completely forgot about it. It's barely even worth playing it on this podcast, but I think what it was a guy was guessing, he said he could guess what liquid was being poured into a glass just based on the sound alone. And one of them had a fizz sound at the end, but it ended up being water, and Hamish and Andy just assumed that it was me that made the mistake when I actually had nothing to do with the setting up of this skill test. So they brought me into the studio and I said like 4 words and then left. Definitely a cameo. But one of my jobs on that show is I filter through all the emails that come in. Like, well, I don't, like, a lot of people do. There are a lot of people sort of working and reading through the emails, filtering content, and, you know, including Hamish and Andy themselves. And, for instance, I sometimes see people who listen to this podcast have written in, which is great. It's always cool seeing that. And I noticed this week, and it was really cool, someone wrote in, "Ahoy boys, Jack and Mike." So it's cool that someone considered me like the 4th member of that crew. That was really cool, and I don't know, I just felt, it felt really awesome reading that. Other than that though, I'm going quite well, and I hope you're well as well. Things are still not normal. Things aren't normal in the world. things are still a little bit weird in the world, I suppose. And I don't know, again, I don't know when we go back to normal. I don't know how we go back to normal. Like, people are sort of more out and about. People can see each other. You can have friends over. And, you know, Australia's done pretty well with the whole COVID thing, but things are still feeling a little bit weird out there. And yeah, I'm just still feeling a little bit weird generally about where the world goes from here, but I guess that is what it is. That being said, it is the greatest thing in the world to be able to just do stuff at friends' houses now. On Friday night, I went to my friend Jack's house and we played another board game. Last week, I was talking about how I play the board game Dinosaur Island with my brother and his girlfriend, and we have a great time. Jack plays this game with his wife and his sister called Wingspan, which is a great board game. It's so addictive, and I'm starting to become a massive board game fanatic. We played for a fair few hours. We played 2 matches. I won one, Jack won one, but it was 1 point difference. Really, really, really fun game, and I'm just loving board games at the moment. Like, I want to keep playing more proper, like, tabletop board games because I just think they're such a great way to get your brain moving, to be thinking about stuff, to be strategizing, to be competitive with people, but not having to be on a sports field, like running around, tiring yourself out. It is so much fun, and I highly recommend, if you're looking for an activity to do with friends, go to like Mind Games or something and buy a board game, because I just had the time of my life playing them, and I'm really looking forward. I'm going to my brother's tomorrow night to play some more Dinosaur Island, and I want to buy Wingspan and play it with him. So yeah, thanks to all the people who wrote in suggesting board games. Radio Mel, welcome to the Radio Family, Radio Mel. She said, have you played Boss Monster? It's a building card game based on classic video games. No, I haven't, but that description definitely makes me want to check it out, because as I usually say at the top of the show, but this week I was in the drive-thru, so I forgot to, I'm Radio Mike, Australia's most lovable nerd, and this stuff sounds so up my alley. Last week on the podcast, one of the main stories I talked about was this like conspiracy detective thing that I was sort of working on about these random people who I believe are running a crime syndicate in the laundry of my apartment building. And I will update you on something major, a major development that happened on that front this week, because a lot of people have been asking for it. My mum came over because, well, I was really tired, my place was a mess, and I actually just sent a text to my mum saying, hey mum, could you come over and clean my apartment? Which she was very happy to do, and I was very grateful. But when she was here cleaning, and I was here too, we saw heaps of police officers in the car park of my building, as well as fire officers, fire doctors. What are the firefighters, that's it. Firefighters, as well as a police helicopter in the vicinity of my building, flying around. Looked out the window, could see them all in the car park, looking around as if they're looking for someone or something. It was really weird, and could be a stretch, could be an absolute stretch, but I believe it's all connected. I think it is definitely connected. I think these people were actively looking for the people who I believe are running the crime syndicate. I will keep you updated. And if you know any information, call Mike Stoppers, Mike's version of Crime Stoppers, which is 1-800-GET-FUCKED, 1-800-438-353, and leave a voicemail with any tip-offs you may have. And you can always get in touch with the show. Remember that this show is built by you guys, the listeners. I love all the interactions from you guys, the Radio Family. You can get in touch at any of my socials, radio.mike on Insta, it's Radio Mike on Twitter, radiomikepod@gmail.com, or 1-800-GET-FUCKED for anything you want to say. There's also the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/20th Century Boy, growing a lot, lots happening, and the Discord. Send me a message if you want an invite to that. I might even put an invite in the description of the podcast so you can just join if you want to do that, because I figured out a way that you could, because at first they were like expiring after 24 hours, but I've now figured out a way to just make it an infinite invite, and I don't really care who joins. So please get in there. It's a lot of fun. Every night we're on there. I do a Mike's Likes every night where I say something I like. So definitely get in there. Love to have you. Now, I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 26th of May, 2020. I usually record the podcast now on a Tuesday. That's kind of where it fits in my weekly schedule. That's sort of the block out time I make for it. And it comes out on the Thursday, so you're listening to this 2 days after I record it. And the fourth Monday of every month is a special time in the calendar of the radio family. We are the radio family. The radio family is the collective group of listeners of this show. If you're listening, you're part of the radio family. If you contribute, you're part of the radio family. If you contribute a lot, eventually you become a radio superstar, a higher tiered member of the radio family, but still part of the family. Now, the fourth Monday of every month is the day that we receive a monthly update, formerly weekly update, from one of the best listeners of the show, the hero and best friend of this show, and his name is Radio Nacho Cheez. So, let's do one of these.
Yeah, g'day everyone, it's Radio Nacho Cheez here. G'day Radio Mike, it's Radio Nacho Cheez here again. Radio Nacho Cheez here again. Radio Nacho Cheez here.
He's Radio Nacho Cheez, and this is his weekly update! And we'll just kill that bed right here. And I'm sorry to say this to the radio family, but I was patiently and eagerly awaiting the monthly update from Radio Nacho Cheez, our favourite listener of the show and one of the best members of the radio family. Radio Nacho Cheez is an anonymous listener of the show who used to send in weekly updates. We delegated him to monthly at the start of this year. We don't know who he is. We have a few clues about what he does for work. We have a few clues on his height. I think he's very tall. He's above 6 foot. So we really like hearing from him. He gives us a lot of messages of hope. However, this week, we didn't receive a voice message from Radio Nacho Cheez. And I can only discern that a man of such high status in the family would never let the radio family down in this way. And because of this, I am genuinely concerned about Radio Nacho Cheez. Nacho, if you're okay, let us know. If you need something, let us know as well. I'm sure the family can help you out. I want Radio Nacho Cheez. I want you to get in contact with us. We will forgive you for forgetting the weekly update, the monthly update. We've already forgiven you, right? Nacho Cheez, I know you're listening to this, and I just want to know what's happened. I think because Nacho Cheez would go by different names a lot of the time. He'd go by Radio Nacho Cheez. Once he went by Professor Cheez. I think at one point he went by Dr. Cheez, Sergeant Cheez, Sir Cheez. I'm beginning to think that maybe the reason he doesn't use his real name and he's constantly changing his moniker and he's constantly hiding his identity, maybe he's on the run for a crime. Maybe he's not a great guy in society, but that doesn't matter because to us, he's the hero of the show. Also, I'm now realizing that if this is the first time you've listened to my podcast, you might be very concerned. You might be very confused as well, but please just understand that there was a guy called Radio Nacho Cheez, well, he called himself Radio Nacho Cheez, who would call into this show every week and just tell us what he was doing. He didn't do it this month. So, this is the first time we've ever missed Radio Nacho Cheez's monthly update. And I really, really hope that he's okay. I have been drilling down a lot already today about the radio family. And I am doing that for a reason. There is a reason why I am doing that. One, we are the radio family. Like I've said it already on the podcast. I'm not saying it again. Go press the button that says 15 seconds forward and press it like 10 times. You'll get there. I'm saying it because I was watching Media Watch over the weekend. Media Watch is one of my favourite shows. It is a great show on the ABC and they upload it to YouTube, which is great. That is basically like an independent media review kind of show. It's not comedy. It's like total factual stuff where they just look at misreporting and I'm not going to say fake news, but they just look at how people have misreported the news and done stuff sort of wrong in the media landscape, and it's very interesting. I really like watching it because as a show, it tends to be quite unbiased. It tends to be very fair on people. It tends to look at all angles, which I think a lot of free-to-air TV doesn't really do. So I really, really like watching Media Watch whenever they drop an episode and I check it out. But this isn't really about Media Watch. It's about Alan Jones. Alan Jones is like an Australian radio shock jock who has said some notably like bad things in his time. He said some pretty stupid things. He has some pretty, different political views and alignments than a lot of people, particularly young people like us. And he's recently resigned from radio on his own accord for his health, so they say. Not getting into that. Don't really care. Don't know much about Alan Jones. Couldn't really care less about him or his career. Whatever. However, one thing I did realise that came up straight away on Media Watch was I believe Alan Jones has quite literally stolen the concept of having a family of the radio variety. I believe Alan Jones has ripped off the name of this podcast listenership. And I will prove this to you in audio I have ripped from Media Watch, which you can hear right now.
I'm taking this opportunity to indicate to my radio family.
I'm sorry, what was that, Alan Jones?
Radio family.
So I just felt so frustrated that Alan Jones decided to refer to his listeners as a radio family, because I've had that. I think I started that on episode 2 of this podcast. I think I came up with it. I came up with it on episode 2 of this podcast. If I can, I'll put in audio from episode 2 of this podcast here, which I'm probably going to cringe listening to. And I honestly, when I think about the first 4 or 5, probably 4 episodes of this podcast, I really cringe. I don't know why. I just cringe. But I remember Lewis Spears once saying to me, if you cringe at your old stuff, it means you've gotten better. And I guess that's good. Now, that was actually based on this idea in when I was doing community radio years and years ago. Well, not that long ago, like 4 years ago. I did this show based on The Simpsons called The Yellow Family with a friend of mine. And we used to refer to the listeners as the family members. So I guess I kind of copied it from myself by calling it the radio family, but it was the family members on the Yellow Family, my old radio show from community radio. I was just really, really pissed off that Alan Jones totally stole this from us. And you know what? I was very indifferent to him as a person, but now I'm leaning towards the dislike side because he's stolen our listenership name. If you agree with me, let me know. Send me a message explaining how disappointed you are in Alan Jones. I've been doing this really shit meme that spurs from me going through a phase where I've been re-watching the children's anime series that has a very soft spot in my heart, Digimon, Digital Monsters. And I talked about this on my other podcast, the Popped podcast, about how it's just a show that I've always just connected with the characters, and as the years have gone on, the characters have aged with me. So it's kind of like a Toy Story Andy situation where, you see the first few Toy Stories and Andy's your age, and then you see Toy Story 3 15 years later or whatever, and suddenly Andy's a teenager in college. Like, you grow up with the characters, and that's kind of what that series is to me. So I've just been going through like a fun time re-experiencing it and having fun with it. And, going back to Lewis Spears, he's into his fucking Warhammer miniatures. Like, everyone has their like nostalgic thing, their childish thing that they just indulge in. And mine is the anime franchise Digimon Digital Monsters, which I believe I talked about on episode 3 of this podcast. Now, as a shit meme, because I've just been totally like encapsulated by it, and I'm watching it every night and just re-engaging, as I said. In the group chat of the old radio show for Luke and Lewis, which was the radio show I used to work on, I just posted a picture of all of the original Digimon that were in the original series, and I said, hey guys, everyone pick one of the Digimon that you really like, and then I'm going to Photoshop them all into a picture of us. And It was all going well, everyone was choosing one, and then Lewis, because Lewis Spears, comedian, good friend of mine, who always has to stir the pot and do things not right and do things differently, he chose a Digimon called Sukuramon. Sukuramon is literally a Digimon that is based on a shit. He looks like a pile of shit. And I said, no, you can't choose it. And he insisted that he choose it. And then he changed the name of the group to the Sukuramon Fan Club. And it really started pissing me off that he wouldn't take it seriously. Now, I got a call from Lewis Spears, who does a podcast, The Luke and Lewis Show. They're doing a 24-hour live stream over the weekend. And they need to borrow a capture card that I have that I use to stream games. They need to borrow it in order to stream to YouTube or whatever they want to do. I now realize I have some leverage over Lewis, and I'm going to request that he stops choosing Sukuramon, the shit Digimon, the literal shit Digimon, and chooses a proper Digimon. And just realizing how juvenile this podcast is, guys, I do have some cool interests. But actually, fuck it. No, I think Digimon is cool. Fuck people who judge other people's interests because they don't, get them or relate to them. Fuck that. I'm not going to give in to my internalized shame. I'm doing a Hannah Gadsby Nanette. I'm speaking out about my internalized shame. Fuck this shit. I love Digimon. And I decided that I'm going to basically say to Lewis that he can only borrow my capture card, which is worth about $350, which is a lot of money that they probably don't want to or need to spend. I'm going to say he can only have it if he chooses another Digimon or, negotiate something in the midst of that. So I thought I'd give him a call now and see how it all goes down.
Hello, Sukuramon Fan Club, Chairman speaking.
Mr. Spears.
Yes, that's me. Did you want to chat about Sukuramon? This is the fan club hotline. How good Sukuramon? Shaped like a poo, but very powerful.
Mr. Spears.
Yes?
I'd like you to put me on speakerphone so all in your party can hear.
Oh yeah, well we're having the fan club, Sukuramon fan club meeting. So we've got all the boys here. Say hello. Hello. How good Sukuramon?
Now, Mr. Spears, if I'm not mistaken, you need something from me. You need something from me.
Yeah. You have a Sukuramon t-shirt. I wanted to purchase it for you.
No. Let's break let's break that. Because you rang me before and you need to borrow an Elgato HD capture card from me to help with your 24-hour live stream broadcast.
This is about the Elgato capture card?
Yes.
Hang on. You've called the Sukuramon fan club hotline. I'll call you back from my personal phone. 1 second.
Okay. Hopefully he calls me back. All right, guys. Okay, he's calling back. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, is that Lewis?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Hey, Lewis, I was just talking to your alter ego for a sec there.
No, that's not my alter ego. That was me. I was just, you called the Sukuramon fan club hotline, so I just switched to my personal phone because I like to keep it separate,
Hey, stop for 1 sec. You need something from me, don't you?
Is this about the Sukuramon t-shirt or is this about the Elgato thing?
You know it's about the Elgato.
Oh, okay, good. Because if it was about the Sukuramon thing, I would have had to call you back from the fan club hotline. And that would have been annoying.
I did agree that I would lend you my Elgato capture card, but...
Yes, that is correct. We need it for our live stream for the Luke and Lewis show.
I now realise I have some leverage over you.
Okay, now I would say that as a friend, you don't need, this leverage doesn't really come into a friendship. I would say that if you're trying to get leverage within a friendship, I would say that you're either a bad friend or a sociopath.
Well, Lewis, I disagree. And I would say that if I try to do a fun game with members of your old radio team in which I post a picture of all of the Digimon from the original 2 seasons of the Digimon franchise, because I'm currently going through a phase where I'm rewatching a children's TV show, I'd hope that if you were a real friend, you'd play along with the joke and you'd hang out and you'd choose a chosen Digimon.
Now, Mike, I did choose the Digimon. I chose Sukuramon. As we all know, I'm president of the Sukuramon fan club, and I've been a fan of Digimon and Sukuramon specifically far longer than you. I'm older than you. I watched Digimon first and fell in love with Sukuramon. So I would say, as a friend, you would allow me to choose Sukuramon in your little Digimon game.
Well, I'm going to put it to you this way.
Yep.
I'm not giving you the Elgato capture card unless you do one of two things. Number one, you choose a proper chosen Digimon from the first two seasons that isn't Sukuramon. Or
well, hang on. We're talking a lot about Sukuramon, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a call back from the Sukuramon fan club. 1 second.
Hello.
This is Lewis, president of the Sukuramon fan club. I'm giving you a call from the Sukuramon fan club hotline just because I like to keep things separate, as we all know.
It's the same phone number.
Well, no, but they're different phones.
Okay, so they're different phones running the same number.
Yes.
Okay, option 2, right?
Yeah.
Is you keep the Sukuramon fan club, and it's called Sukuramon, not Sukuramon. But
no, it's actually Sukuramon. Japanese pronunciation is very different to English. As president of the fan club, I should know that.
For 1 hour of the live stream, the show is sponsored by the Sukuramon fan club, and you all have to wear t-shirts, white t-shirts with Sukuramon on them.
Well, that's actually crazy because that's what we had planned for 9 p.m. So that's no worries.
So I'm giving you the capture card and you're doing that?
Yes, yeah. Luke's part of the Sukuramon fan club meeting. Are you happy with that, Luke?
Wait, what?
Luke, Mike's terms are he's only going to give us the capture card if we do an entire hour about Sukuramon. That's
No. It doesn't have to be about it. It just has to be sponsored by Sukuramon fan club, and you all have to wear white t-shirts with Sukuramon on it.
Yeah.
Are you supplying the t-shirt?
No, you guys have to. You have to do it.
No, I think we should just buy a capture card, Lewis.
Yeah, I reckon they're on like $300 from JB Hi-Fi, right? We don't have to do anything that Mike says.
Is it more expensive if I bought a t-shirt custom made last minute?
No, you just have to print out a picture and sticky tape it on.
Mike's shocked that he's about to lose his leverage in one fell swoop.
I'm not
It's
shocked.
not even like it's not even. I don't even think the Sukuramon thing's really a good bit. Like,
Hey! Excuse me, all right? You're kicked out of the fan club for that. Disrespectful.
So what's it going to be?
Look, Mike. I know this seems to have really frustrated you far too much as a grown adult male that I insisted on choosing a Digimon shaped like a poo instead of some other cool Digimon that you like. Why can't I choose Sukuramon for this game? And what even is the game? Because you didn't explain the game. You just tried to get us to choose a Digimon. I chose the one shaped like a poo, and then we argued about that for 2 hours, and then I went to bed.
All I was going to do is everyone choose one, and then I was going to Photoshop them into a photo of all of us and post it in the group. I was going to do a nice thing. So what about this?
Now, why can't you do that with Sukuramon? What's your issue with Sukuramon? Are you some kind of Digimon racist?
What about this, Lewis? You don't have to... For 1 hour of your live stream this week...
Yeah.
You have to wear a white t-shirt with Sukuramon on it. You don't have to mention it or say anything about it. You just have to do it.
Okay, deal.
Actually?
Yep. Deal.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the president of the Sukuramon fan club. I'll happily rep the best Digimon ever created.
Keelan has to do it too.
Well, he probably won't be on camera, but I'll make sure that he wears it.
Okay, we've got a deal.
Great. Now, could you also, as part of the terms, could you make that Photoshopped image and make sure that I'm Sukuramon, please?
Yeah, I definitely can.
Okay, great. And I would like you to post that on your Instagram.
No, I won't be posting it on my Instagram. It's just a personal
Why not?
thing.
It's part of the podcast, isn't it?
It's just a personal thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not on the podcast.
No, this is on the podcast, yeah. But
but you don't like this bit enough to promote it on your Instagram. So you're saying you don't like Sukuramon enough, guys? I think that all of the listeners of your podcast, whatever it's called, can't remember, they all love Sukuramon, and your comments are going to be flooded with the poo emoji saying we love Sukuramon. Post the Sukuramon pics. # release Sukuramon.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the shirt.
And I'm looking forward to seeing those comments. Thank you very much, Mike. Great deal. This is the president of Sukuramon Fan Club, Lewis Spears, signing out.
Goodbye. Okay, well, there you have it, guys. Look out for the Sukuramon stuck on Lewis's t-shirt at some point during their live stream on the weekend. I will also be joining the live stream at some point. I haven't worked that out yet, but I'll also be on. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and I hope you guys are looking forward to listening as well. On Twitter recently, and because I'm such a pop culture nerd and I just love this shit so much, I was tagged in a post by Dave Lee, who some of you may know, some may not. He is an Australian pop culture YouTuber who I really... I talked to him a bit online, so I'd say we're like mates online, and I want to get him on this podcast. I've never met him, but I know he lives in Melbourne. Great guy. He does a lot of pop culture-based YouTubing on like old school cartoons and stuff, so I really like his channel. Definitely check him out. He tagged me in this thing, which was to post your top 4 voice acting performances in anything you have ever like seen, pretty much. And because I love just doing these quizzes and these things like this, I had to jump on it. I finally got round to doing it. And for reference, his 4 were Robin Williams as the genie, Tom Hanks as Woody, the cowboy, great one, Kelsey Grammer as Sideshow Bob, another great one, and James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. 4 really, really classic voice actors. Sideshow Bob's an absolute great one. I'd love to know yours. Let me know. Send me a message. I'd love to know yours, and we can talk about them on the show, because my 4 that I ended up choosing, I had to do someone from The Simpsons, and I thought about maybe doing someone like Lenny, who I think has a really funny voice, or even someone like Kirk Van Houten, who is one of my favorite side characters in the show. But after a lot of thinking, I just thought I'd give the first one to Dan Castellaneta as Homer Simpson, because I just think that Homer as a character and as a voice and as a pop culture icon is like, he's just that. He's iconic. So I just think it's almost like essential for him to be in there.
Nerd! Homer, that isn't very nice.
Marge, try to understand. As a jock, it is my duty to give nerds a hard time.
The second one I picked was Patrick Warburton as Kronk from the Disney film The Emperor's New Groove, which I still need to get round to talking about that movie on this podcast, because that is probably my favorite movie of all time. If you haven't seen it, you must watch it. It's a very unconventional comedy Disney film from the year 2000 that I would say really inspired some of the humor of this podcast and some of just my own comedic sensibilities. Lots of fourth wall breaking, lots of just like poking fun at the format and everything like that. And Kronk was just a great character in that movie.
Oh, right. The poison for Cusco. The poison chosen specially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. Fat poison?
Yes, that poison.
Gotcha covered.
The third one was a guy called Joshua Seth, who was and still is the voice of Tai Kamiya, who is the main character in the Digimon franchise. And the reason I chose this was because that character, as I sort of spoke about earlier in the Lewis stuff, he is a character that I've just grown up with. When I first saw him on TV in 2000, he was sort of my age. Then in season 2 of that show, he was, a little bit older. And then in season 3 of that show, again, as I said, like the Andy from Toy Story effect, that series came out like 2 years ago, and now he was like 18 in that series. And I just loved watching the way his voice grew from like a 10-year-old boy to an 18-year-old like young adult. And I always have like such high nostalgia with that character. So I had to put him in there as well. And I've loved growing up with this character and this voice. It's so iconic and so homely to me, I think.
Because she cares.
She's a kid. I'm her big brother. I'm supposed to look after her and protect her and think of what's best for her. That's what I'm supposed to do.
And finally, and I tossed up a while about who this should be. I thought about doing a character from South Park, but in the end, I had to give the 4th place to none other than Eddie Murphy as Donkey from Shrek, who I think we can all agree is one of the funniest comedic performances in any movie of our generation, particularly as an animated character. Donkey just embodies everything I love about the Shrek franchise. So yeah.
Why are you following me?
I'll tell you why. 'Cause I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. My problems have all gone. There's no one to deride me. But you gotta have friends.
Stop singing! Well, it's no wonder you don't have any friends.
Wow. Only a true friend would be that truly honest.
I would love to know who your top 4 voice-acted characters are. I did post this in the Discord this week and got a few responses. I'll read one out this week. So thanks to Radio Kingdom Laza, who was the first one to respond in the Discord. He said he loved Mako Iwamatsu as Iroh in Avatar The Last Airbender. Really, really, really good choice. That character is such an absolute classic. I also love Zuko from that series. So I think that's great. Steve Bloom as Spike Siegel, who I believe is the main character in the anime Cowboy Bebop, which is a really popular anime that I haven't watched. I do intend to. Rob Paulson as Carl from Jimmy Neutron, the fat sort of wheezy redhead with glasses. And he actually hasn't given a 4th one. But yeah, send me those. I'd love to talk about them on the show and why you like them so much. One last thing that I just wanted to talk about briefly was a sketch kind of video did the rounds over the last week or so, which was this sketch of Don't Start a Podcast, which was a bunch of Australian celebrities, a lot of whom have podcasts and have read ad reads for products like the Rodecaster, which are designed to help people make podcasts easily, telling people that they shouldn't make a podcast. And it's a satire of a lot of people make podcasts now because it's such an accessible and easy way to make content if you're interested in that. And I think that's great, but I understand the satire of the video. I didn't think it was particularly great, but I don't really care about it that much.
These are unprecedented times.
We know things are hard right now. You're stuck inside with nothing to do.
You might be going out of your mind.
Just wanting to do something.
Anything.
But now, more than ever.
More than ever.
More than ever.
It's time to think about how your choices affect others.
So please, don't start a podcast.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it.
However, there was one thing that Radio Whitey, welcome to the Radio family, Radio Whitey, and fuck Alan Jones. There was one thing that Radio Whitey posted that specifically pointed out about this video. Over the last few weeks on this podcast, I have been doing this show within a show, the Dave and Mike Show, a show where my cousin Dave, I call him out of the blue and I just start recording and we pretend to do a podcast that he doesn't want to do and he hates doing. Now, interestingly, this don't start a podcast thing almost seems to be specifically targeted at me. You know, I'm a white guy in my mid-20s. I currently do 2 podcasts for myself and work on a whole bunch of them. I'm at max capacity. And now I'm doing this show within a show, the Dave and Mike Show. Well, take a listen to what is said in this Don't Start a Podcast clip and tell me they're not specifically targeting me.
And your mate Dave's got some interesting opinions.
But we're here to tell you.
He doesn't.
He really doesn't. He's a fuckwit.
That's right. They said, just because your friend Dave and you have great conversations, it doesn't mean you should start a podcast. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. That is definitely targeted directly at me. Now, because of this skit, I decided this week Well, I was a bit jilted this week. I decided either because of this message that the ABC is clearly sending us, me and Dave have a crossroads. Either we cancel the Dave and Mike show or we double down. And I think it's obvious that we have to double down. I think we have to stick it to the ABC and double down on the Dave and Mike show. So there's no episode of the Dave and Mike show this week, but I did want to have a business meeting on this podcast with Dave just to see what he reckons, because I'm sure he's heard about the skit and I'm sure he is fuming about it. So I thought it'd be great to get Dave on, not for the show, just for a business meeting. I'll give him a call now.
Hello, David speaking.
Dave, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. Hey.
Yeah.
Sorry, you at work?
Yeah, I was just on the phone to my boss.
Sorry, man. I just wanted to ask you something really quickly.
Yeah, shoot.
You would have seen all that stuff on the ABC.
No, I haven't watched telly for a bit. Why?
You would have heard of all that stuff from the ABC, wouldn't you?
What stuff?
This about our show.
What?
Yeah, they were dissing our show on the ABC. I thought you would have been all over this.
You're kidding me.
Nah, they weren't kidding. They were dissing the Dave and Mike show.
They were what? Dissing it?
Dissing it.
How funny.
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Yeah. I thought you would have seen it by now.
No, I haven't seen it, sorry, mate.
Yeah, they did a sketch on the ABC saying you shouldn't start a podcast, and no joke, their quote was, just because your mate Dave thinks he's got some good opinions doesn't mean you should start a podcast. And then they said Dave doesn't have good opinions, he's a fuckwit. And I thought it must have been about us.
God. I don't know what to say, man.
I'm not making this up. They actually did it. I'll link it to you. I thought you would have been right on it. I thought you would have been complaining about it.
Yeah, no, not quite.
Oh, it's pretty shit.
I'll catch up on what's the latest news.
Oh yeah, it's just pretty annoying for us because we're.
That's horrible. I guess we're going to have to cancel then.
Well, that's what I was ringing to ask about. Do we cancel or do we double down to stick it to them? I reckon we double down.
I don't know about that, man.
I reckon we do 2 eps a week.
I don't know. I don't know if I can fit that in my busy schedule, man.
Why? Are you doing other shows now?
Yeah, that's what I do in my spare time. I just jump on random podcasts.
Yeah. Well, I reckon we've got to double down and teach the ABC a lesson.
Oh, God, you kill me, man.
All right, get back to work. Get back to work. We can't do podcasts if we're not making money on the side. Get out there.
Hey, are we making money from this, are we?
Well, I think the idea is eventually we'll make money from it. But at the moment, we both need side hustles. So you've got the bank, I've got the podcast business.
Oh, God. Can't wait to be making money from the podcast, though, let me tell you.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll see you later.
Then I can quit my day job, right?
Yeah, well, don't quit it yet.
Okay.
All right, see you later, mate.
See you, mate. Bye.
See ya. But seriously, that video is really dumb, and if you want to start a podcast, you should, because why wouldn't you? It's one of the only ways that young people can get their voices out there, and young people can start making content and build listenership. So I just think it's so stupid that people would make a skit about not doing it. The reason so many people make podcasts is because it's so easy for them to get their voice out there, as opposed to like trying to get a job on TV or trying to, like, I don't know, it's just a way to get a platform. So why wouldn't you? Really, really silly, in my opinion. But anyway, there were a couple of other things, but I might hold them till next week because we're going a bit long. But I really appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for being here this week. Thank you so much for listening each week. Plugs, I will be on the Luke and Lewis live stream at some point, as I already said. That'll be fun, so check their socials, and I'll probably post about it on my socials. Follow me on Instagram, radio.mike, Twitter, it's Radio Mike. My YouTube, I'm really hoping I can do some more video stuff soon. So go check that out. And the Popped podcast, my second podcast, right after 20th Century Boy and just before the Dave and Mike show. That is a more in-depth look at different pop culture artifacts like music, games, TV, movies, and everything in between. We talk all about that, me and my co-host on the show, Alex, whose nickname changes every week. I would love for you guys to check it out. Thanks to everyone who's been listening and the feedback we've been getting. It's really, really awesome to hear. This week we talked about, we were talking about The Lion King and the Lion King live action remake from 2019, actually, and here's a little snippet of that. Adult Simba was always the most boring character in The Lion King, surely. Like, young Simba is where all the emotion is, and then adult Simba just becomes this annoying, like, arrogant asshole who doesn't want to face the truth of his past. And yeah, to be honest, I actively hate adult Simba.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just...
like, there is nothing about adults. Like, anyone could play adult Simba. I could not care less. Other than that, guys, you know where to find me. I've already said my socials a few times this episode, and yeah, again, you guys build the show, so I'd love to get in touch with you and hear from you. And yeah, thank you so much for listening this week. As always, my name has been Radio Mike, and this has been The Inside of My Mind. Catch you later.